Welcome back, everyone. New developments in the case against Justin Ross Harris, the father accused of letting his toddler die in a hot Georgia car. Investigators have taken his SUV back to the scene of this incident as troubling details about the 22-month-old's car seat are now being revealed. I want to bring in our legal minds this morning. Joining us from Atlanta are Mo Ivory, an attorney and radio personality, and Paige Pate, a criminal defense attorney who is also with us and very well connected in the legal scene down there, knows lawyers on both sides. Paige, I want to start with you. I understand from you that the defense team, there are some toxicology reports back looking into the son, Cooper, that found nothing of any consequence in his system. Do you think that's good or bad for the defense?
Well, that's the kind of evidence, John, that could cut either way. I think the defense will take this evidence and say, look, it's obvious that there was nothing here to try to drug the child, try to sedate the child, so that it would be more likely he wouldn't cry out or scream if he was left in the car. So the defense will deal with it that way. The prosecution, on the other hand, will say, there's no reason the child should have been asleep just a few minutes after leaving the Chick-fil-A. So like most pieces of evidence in this case, both sides will try to spin it to their favor. You know,
Mo, we're talking a lot about evidence, toxicology reports. We're talking about car seats, a rear-facing car seat. You know, why did they use that? They had just bought a front-facing car seat. The straps were very, very tight. There are a lot of pieces and threads now that investigators are trying to put together. But I know you're talking a lot about this on the radio. Have we gotten to the point where we're missing the forest for the trees here? We're still talking about a father who left his son in a car all day, basically.
Sure. I think as we go through the legal process, you know, we can't jump straight to the forest because we have to do the investigations. We have to do all of the stuff that will lead ultimately to a conviction in a trial. But I think most people, and what I've been hearing on the radio from most people, is that it's, you know, make him fry. Like he's done it. It's proven that he's done it. And I think that as we hear these little bits and pieces coming out, as we did last week at the hearing, and as we see the crime scene being recreated, I think in the public opinion, most people feel that he absolutely killed his child, and I do believe that most people also think that his wife had something to do with it.
Let's talk about the wife, Paige, because she paid a visit to the husband. You know, how does that look for her? Does she need to be careful communicating with her husband right now?
Oh, there's no question she needs to be careful. I mean, I hope she's consulting with a lawyer right now. Obviously, all of those communications at the jail are being monitored. They're being recorded. Anything they could say, whether it's about the case or about the family, could be used against both of them if the case later goes to trial. However, I don't think the state is ready to charge her yet. There's no rush here, and at this point I think they will continue with their very meticulous investigation to try to gather up enough evidence to first charge him with intentional child cruelty and perhaps malice murder, and then indict her as an accessory to that crime if they're able to find that evidence.
Mo, you're itching to get into the subject of the wife here.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely think that what they're doing is setting up the case against her. I actually thought that earlier this week that she would be arrested, and whether it would be a conspiracy charge or whatever the charges would be, because I felt like they were the police were being very quiet because they were gonna drop the ball and she would be arrested. Her behavior, her actions, I mean, just everything leads up to her having known that this was about to take place. And so yesterday they had a visit, a video conference visit. We don't know what the contents of that were, but I agree that she does need to stop, you know, putting herself in a position that they can gather more and more. But in Georgia, you know, she is going to have to testify. There's not the husband-wife privilege when it deals with the death of a child or the endangerment of a child. So she will ultimately either be a witness for the prosecution or a witness for the defense.
You know, and I suppose it does cut both ways. Had she not visited her husband, when she is called to the stand as a character witness, possibly, you know, people would say, well, why didn't you visit your husband? Do you think there's something wrong? Are you suspicious of him? So there is that, too. You know, Mo's talking a lot, Paige, about public opinion here and what is being perceived from the outside. You know, we do have this legal system that tries to separate the public opinion right now. Are investigators in Georgia, and you know the system down there better than I do, to be sure, are they being more careful than they usually are? Are they doing more investigating than they usually do before we get more charges here?
John, I think so. First of all, everyone should know that the Cobb County Police Department is one of the better law enforcement agencies in Georgia. They're always very professional, very good, very focused. But in this case, they realize everybody's watching, and they realize that if this case eventually goes to trial, the defense is going to push back at every opportunity. So they are being very meticulous about their investigation, and they have time, but not unlimited time. Since they're holding him without bond, the DA's office has to indict the case within 90 days. So the clock's ticking for him.
All right, Paige, Mo, Ivory, great to have you here with us. So many interesting discussions here.
Yes.
And we do know, Mo, you hear it every day. People talking about it all the time. Thanks, guys.
Absolutely. Thank you, John.
Coming up next on New Day is President Obama.